Hello guys, welcome to our crazy midnight stream. I don't know. Come surrogate, nobody loves you. Go away. Stop telling me you have problems. um,
Jeez, you just started recording and you're already having issues.
yeah, come surrogate loves to like bug me whenever I'm doing important things. So we're gonna be doing something questionable, with lack of a better term for it. I'm gonna be playing a nice, happy, cheery game of FTL with me panicking and screaming at the game a lot, while Stefan read some things from our Nosleep. So, let me start a new game real quick.
Go ahead, take your time. I've got all night.
I'd like to get some sleep at some point. Uh,
You would, but I sit on Reddit no sleep for a living, so
so, let's see. I'll name the
sleep has
ship
eluded me.
the Serpent. I must have misspelled serpent, don't judge me, humans who watch my channel. Customize. Rename. Diputus. Enter. Okay. Oh gosh. Darn it. And screw it. I'm keeping the default thing. I'm not changing that. Okay. Continue. Alright, so go ahead and start reading the first one while I do this.
Alright, so I decided to pick a few of the really high upvoted stories on Reddit. This one is called Peanut Butter is My Favorite by Chris Garrett. And it's created since it's the 6th of October. Created about, I don't know how many days ago, but it was submitted 2 days ago from what it says. So, alright. Start the stories then. I used to love peanut butter more than anything. It's the best snack ever. Goes with anything from chocolate to celery. Mom used to put it on celery with tiny raisins and call it ants on a log. But it was my awesome babysitter, Dave, that replaced the raisin with candy and called it Mega Ants. Dave was the best babysitter you could ask for. He always called me Knucklebutt because the first time I met him, I snuck up behind my dad while they were talking, punched my dad in the butt, and then ran away laughing. Dave was also the master of scary stories. One time, he told me the story about a claw-armed man outside of a car, and when I turned around, he had hidden a fake long claw on the coffee table. I ran to my room and hid under my dinosaur sheets and didn't come out until he made me a mega mega ant snack. We decided not to tell Mom we left the celery off that one. The rain was pouring outside. My parents had a big dinner event they had to go to and were running late. So they tried to call Dave a few times and see if he would come over last minute. And he picked up the phone and agreed. I was so excited to hear Dave was coming over again, my parents had to leave for a few hours doing whatever grown-ups do. Dave's going to be here any second, my dad said. Keep the door locked and don't open it for anybody but him. Call our phone if you get scared. He smiled and ruffled my hair, knowing the only thing that scared me were Dave's stories. There was a knock on the door, just as my parents' car was out of sight. I ran to the door. "Who is it?" I shouted. "Open the door, Mark." I knew the voice anywhere and eagerly opened the door. Dave walked in with a big bag over his shoulder, and I knew it was for something that would scare me silly. I immediately went for the bag. "Hold on, Mark. It's gotta get darker before the scary stories." Mark? He had never called me by my name before. I had always been Knucklebutt. The phone rang and Dave answered, nodding along as he listened, which led me to eye the bag. I guess that's supposed to be left me to eye the bag.
Probably.
It had a distinctive wooden handle and a small metal clasp that held the handle to the bag. Dave hung up the phone without saying goodbye to whoever it was. That was kind of rude. As soon as Dave set the phone down, it rang again. Dave picked up, pressed his ear to the receiver, and just a second later hung up. "Come on, it's scary time," I yelled to Dave. "Not just yet. First you have..." the phone rang again, cutting Dave off. He clicked it off without answering, which was something Mom said was very rude. You have to answer when people call, or else they might not want to talk at all. I repeated the little rhyme I had been taught since I was a kid. But I wasn't a kid anymore, and I was ready for some scary stories. Come on, Dave! It's story time! I ran for the bag, ignoring his warning. Listen, Mark. There was my name again. It felt so weird to hear him say it. The phone rang again, and Dave looked angry. Okay. You want to be scared? Dave said as the phone rang. Yes, finally! I reached for the bag. Alright, Dad said as he walked over to pick up the bag. Answer the phone then. I didn't know why it had to not be ringing to tell me a story, but the sooner the better. I ran over and picked up the phone, eager to get rid of whoever was keeping me away from my scary stories. Hello? I said. Hey, Knucklebutt. The voice called. It sounded horrible. You okay? Sorry I couldn't make it tonight. Who is this? It's Dave, you knuckle-headed knucklebutt. Can you put your parents on? Just got their messages. I'm really sick, kiddo. I can't make it tonight. But I turned to look at the Dave in the living room. He smiled broadly and opened up his bag. A flash of lightning made the metal tools inside reflect so bright that it hurt my eyes. Story time, he said. Alright. What was that?
That was me panicking.
Alright, let me pull up another one before I start the other one.
That was pretty good, actually.
These are, I'll go ahead and say, these are really good. If, you know, all you viewers out there, I'll go ahead and say this. Go to Reddit. Read some of the ones that have been upvoted a lot. You'll read them. Read some of the ones that haven't been. You'll like them. I like these. They're just meant to creep you out and make you feel, eh.
I'm still in Sector 1, by the way, everyone, and yes, I recently just started playing this game, so bear with me on my most likely horrible failings that will drive you up a wall with how much I am a noob at this. Just bear with me on that. Back to Creepy Story Reader.
I'm not gonna read that one first off.
Why not?
The guy's name.
What is it?
Dildo ate my baby. I mean, I could read it now that I just said it, but
Yeah.
I just found one that's like...
And I'm not gonna cut that. I'll just like make a tag on the title or something saying that it wasn't, that there might be some strange names and titles in this.
Okay, well, I'll read that one last.
Yeah.
We'll do 4 stories instead of 3. We'll do
Okay.
4. That'll be the last one. Alright, the next one that I had pulled up as I was hunting for a 3rd story is called My Neighbor Stanford by Melted Road, uploaded 2 days ago. My neighbor Stanford and his wife had moved into the house next to us about 2 years ago. He drove a silver Volkswagen Jetta and her a blue Honda Civic. Stanford mowed his lawn at 11 a.m. every Sunday. That was the extent of my knowledge of my neighbor. They seemed nice enough. In the 2 years since they moved in, we've never had a noise issue or any problems with them at all. I had just pulled into my driveway after picking up some beers for NFL Sunday when I noticed Stanford waving at me. I parked my car and approached him. This is unusual, as he rarely initiated conversations with me. It wasn't that he wasn't friendly. I've had many conversations with him, but it was I who usually started the conversations. It was late September, but the sun was still strong in the late morning. Stanford was perspiring and clearly just finished mowing his front lawn. Robert, do you have any plans this afternoon? My wife isn't here. We could fire up the barbecue, watch the games, and drink a few cold ones. He motioned towards the beers I had just picked up. What do you think? I gladly accepted. Explained that Laura wasn't there either, and that I would be more thrilled to join him. He's always been a decent neighbor, even if he was quiet. Last year, when we were trimming the maple tree in our backyard, we were afraid of some branches falling into our roof. Some small branches accidentally fell onto his property. He didn't complain once. In fact, he politely collected and tied up the branches for us. My life, life, my wife Laura was visiting her sister for the day. It was the reason I decided to get some beers for the game. I was looking forward to not having any responsibilities for the day and just watching the games. Knocked on his house 30 minutes later with a cooler full of beer, but there was no answer. I ran around to the backyard. He was hovering over 2 Dutch ovens. Pork butt and beef ribs, he answered when he noticed me. Great, first time having beef ribs, he answered while putting the cooler down. This would be my breakfast then. I just started simmering those about an hour ago, before I started on the lawn. It'll be another 2 hours before we can place them on the grill. Since it's just us guys hanging out, let's just go for the whole 9 yards.
Okay,
I'll
hold
bring
on.
the television outside.
Just a second. I'm already gonna call what's gonna happen here. I'm not gonna say it, but I just get this feeling what's gonna happen.
Can I continue?
Yes.
No point in us dirtying the inside of the house. Started following him to help, but he insisted I didn't have to. That it was light 40-inch LCD. I spent the rest of the day in Stanford's backyard. We bonded really well, just sitting there watching football games until past dusk. I forgot how much fun it was to just hang out with another guy, drinking beers and doing guy things. It was great to be watching television outside, eating food that probably wasn't good for you. What was delicious and drinking cold beer, was as if we were in first year university again. It wasn't until I heard the door of my wife's car closed that I realized how late it was. I excused myself and went to greet my wife. Stanford let out a sigh but didn't complain, which was understandable. It seemed like my wife was interrupting our guy time. But she's my wife. After speaking with Laura, making sure she was home and safely in the house, I went back to finish the game with Stanford. After the game was done, I thanked him for his company. He insisted I take the leftovers. I tried to say no, but they were delicious, and thought we could have them for dinner the next day. Next time, your place, Stanford inquired. I agreed. I'll bring the food next time. You get the beers. We laughed and said goodnight. The next day, when I got home from work, there were 3 police cruisers parked on or around Stanford's driveway. One of the officers looked in my direction and acknowledged me by nodding. I was concerned, but thought it best to speak to Laura first, who was already home. I'm not going to use a voice for this. They already asked me a few questions, she said when I inquired why they were there. I told them you would be here soon. They said they had some questions for you as well. What happened, though? Why are the police here? Before she could answer, though, there was a knock on my door. My name is Officer Ellis. Just have some questions for you, if you have a moment. It's about your neighbor, Stanford, and his wife, Lily. What's going on? Are Stanford and Lily okay? No, I'm afraid they're not. Can you explain to me your relationship with Mr. Stanford, besides the obvious of being neighbors? I invited the officer in, and we spoke for 5 minutes. Explained that I didn't really know Stanford that well, that last night was the first night I really spoke to him. He asked if I noticed anything unusual, or if I went inside his house. I answered in the negative for those questions. He thanked me for my time and started to leave. He commented on how delicious our dinner smelled. It's just leftovers were heating up, I answered. You never told me what happened to Stanford and his wife. It's probably good that you didn't know Stanford that well. He was having marriage problems, but never complained to his wife. In fact, he never complained to anybody. Just kept everything to himself. His family got him a psychiatrist a year ago. According to the psychiatrist, he snapped last week. His wife never called into work today. And when we went to check on her, we found that Stanford had murdered his wife. It was pretty gruesome. The entire first floor was covered in blood. We couldn't find her entire body. Most of it was missing. We found her head and some limbs, but we suspect he may have actually cannibalized part of his wife and grilled them. The oven dinged, and Laura proceeded to pull the butt and ribs out of the oven. My face turned white and remained so. The officer put his hand on my shoulder. I know it's a lot to take in, but at least you weren't in any danger, and Stanford is under arrest right now. He closed the door, while I remained frozen behind him. I could scarcely hear Laura shout that, "Dinner is ready!"
Called it.
You called it?
Yes. No surrender. And now for a slight commentary from StarMaid. Or, not StarMaid. Why do I keep calling him StarMaid? FTL.
I don't know. Alright, Let me see if I can find that one that I didn't want to read, but we already gave the username for. So I can read that next, and then I'll finish off with the other one.
You need to repair that. Okay. I am now in the second sector. If for those who are watching this or listening to Stefan, just
Evil Doom!
Evil Doom. Sorry, I'll censor that bit.
I swear. I'm just joking. Alright,
He will stab me in the
so...
ribcage and then
This...
cannibalize me.
Alright,
Oh.
so the next story is called On a Thursday by A Dildo Ate My Baby. It was uploaded 3 days ago. I've read this one. It's not much of the unhinging, it just makes you think.
I don't like thinking. Thinking hurts my head.
Get over it.
Oh.
You're playing that game, you're gonna think.
I'm not. I have not thought once. Anyway, continue.
Alright. We ditched work on Thursday to visit the pier and eat too much funnel cake. I tried to win her one of those giant pink teddy bears because I knew how much it would embarrass her. She dragged me to one of those rides that spin around and make you puke, and for the first time in my life, I kept it down. For just a moment, when the sun was at her back, I could have killed for a ring.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, I thought you said something else there for a second.
No, I was burping. Excuse me.
No, I thought instead of kill for a ring, I thought...
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
No.
I just get the feeling this one's gonna have something to do with that, though, so...
We took off in my Beamer after 2 more corn dogs and a sunset. And a Tundra T-boned the passenger side a mile later. Her body crumpled like a candy wrapper. I know it sounds like a cliche to say it was all a blur, but I can't think of a better way to put it. I spent a long, rotten night in the waiting room with her stepmother and brother. And sooner or later, we went to an all-night diner, and sooner or later, that was it. I woke up in the same bed I usually did. At about the same time, it was a Thursday. She flushed the toilet and said, I don't know about you, but I didn't call in sick just to sleep in. We went to the pier and I tried to win her a teddy bear. We rode in the puke ride and I didn't puke. We ate corn dogs and watched the sun go down. I didn't say a word, but she knew something was wrong. I let her drive and a Suburban T-boned the driver's side. She was dead on arrival. Now she dies every day. It's been years. There's no real way to keep track of how many. Every day I wake up in the same bed for the same day, and we go to the pier, and then she dies. If we leave at a different time, then there's a different truck. If we never leave the pier, there's a gunfight and a stray bullet. If we never go, then there's something else. Every goddamn day. If we never leave her apartment, there's a break-in. If we never leave my apartment, the ceiling collapses. I've died more than once. I've died a lot of times. There have been days where I ran away at the first chance I got to watch her across the street when she died. There were days when I ran away and spent the day without her when I got a call from her brother. First time I proposed to her, she choked on her corn dog. Never got the corn dogs after that. One day, I robbed a liquor store, just for a change of pace. I drove east as fast as I can. Went to the WAMU branch and gave her my life savings to a little Mexican kid just to see the look on his face. One day I told her what was going to happen, and she didn't believe me, even when it happened. One day I made her tell me every embarrassing story of her life so she might believe me the next day. One day I asked a stranger for help. One day I made her tell me the rest of her dirty secrets at gunpoint so I could make her believe me faster than the next day. When I told her about the time she took her dad's meth pipe to school and got arrested, she wouldn't listen to another word I said. She left in a big hurry and got hit by a motorcycle on a crosswalk. One day I made her listen to me, tied her to her chair and gagged her. So her yelling wouldn't drown me out. She got a leg free, kicked me between the legs, and got her arms free to hit me for a very, very long time. I learned how to play the piano solo from Groundhog Day. I learned how to play cricket. Learned so many languages that I forgot half of them and learned them again. Eventually, I just broke. It must have been decades before I got into the stuff that I'm really not proud of, but I got there. Take everything you've ever considered doing, take anyone or anything, and I've done it. I've done it over and over and over. I've done it as a distraction, as a change of pace, or just to do it. I've done some of it over and over again because I've come to love it. Even the stuff that I knew was wrong and I wouldn't even like, I've done that stuff too. Sometimes I'm afraid I'll do something truly heinous, or make her stepmother do something truly heinous, and that will be the last day in this hell. I'll wake up. That's the day when the universe decided to move forward and catch me with my pants down. She'll be dead again, and I'll be in prison. But it would be worth it. I'd kill her myself for it. I should be an old man now, but I'm still 23. I think. Tomorrow she'll tell me why she took the day off, and I don't know which kind of day I'll give her. Maybe I'll just take her down to the pier, win her that teddy bear again. I'll watch the sun go down. Or maybe I won't win the teddy bear, so it'll be like the first time all over again. I wish you would die. I love you too much for this shit.
Hmm.
Alright, so the final one, it's kinda long, but honestly, it's mostly from dialogue. And it's pretty good. I've read this one too. And
Getting to upgrade my ship.
I guess this would be from a girl's point of view. But, I'm just reading. Oh well, I'm reading them, who cares? Alright, this one is called The Minimalist by Urban Teller, submitted 3 days ago. Keep in mind, this is October 6th for me. So, yeah, the day these are posted, it's probably a bit later. Alright, and I suggest cutting these up into multiple different little segment stories if you want, or just keep it all one big one. I don't care.
Okay.
It's been about 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's about the normal length of video.
Alright, so, The Minimalist. His name is Sven. He's 26, blonde, and used to have a well-shaped body. We lived together for 3 years, him and me. Nights with beer and peanuts, good talk, and days that we barely saw each other because of my busy schedule. He's an architect, or maybe he just was. I'm not so sure. In March, he made his life dream come true. He traveled to Japan. For 3 weeks, his Facebook wall was plastered with photos of temples and streets and people. But most of all, there are pictures of houses, large and small. Finally, photos of houses and apartments from the inside. Besides, one of the pictures, to this day, says a sentence that I think stated his obsession. The people here are really nice. Tell them you're an architect and ask nicely, and any stranger will show you their house. Just make sure you take your shoes off. In his posts, and the 2 short phone calls we had during his time in Japan, I noticed that he seemed to have a new passion: minimalism. Simplify and declutter your life, and you will simplify and declutter your mind. You know, he said, they have apartments here, not even bigger than student rooms. But they have everything: a shower, a kitchen, everything to just one room, and you don't even notice it. The first thing Sven did when he came back was to pack most of his life. Spare clothes, his game consoles, and his TV. And also old gifts or random memorabilia into boxes. He placed the boxes on the sidewalk, and within an hour they were gone. Within a week, more and more left his room. Old birthday cards, photos, trophies, even his heirloom grandfather clock. Soon all was at the side of the street. Soon all of it was gone. A room with a near empty shelf, a near empty wardrobe, a desk, and a chair. Isn't it beautiful? He asked. I had to agree. So simple, so clean, so relaxing. No clutter, no memories, no worries. Although some of Sven's motivation jumped over to me, my room stayed a mess. You should really declutter, he said. I've never felt happier. And Sven lived simpler by the day. So much more relaxed. He smiled when he said that. Simpler food. It feels so light. Simpler clothes. I don't need to choose anymore. 3 sets, rotate. Everything else is excess. No desk. It's not good for your back anyways. No shelf. It just collects dust. No bed sheets. Your body learns to face the cold. No mattress. Soft is bad for your spine. No bed. It's much easier. Oh, I said. But where do you sleep? The floor is enough. He smiled. That smile again. Relaxed, calm, sincere, and possibly happy. What do you do when it gets cold? He grinned. No problem. I still have the wardrobe. In early August, he moved into the wardrobe. Since then, I've never seen him anywhere else. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Not in the kitchen, not in the bathroom, During the day, he keeps his wardrobe door open. At night, he closes it. You really should join me, he said. There's lots of space here. I don't think so. Oh, Sven said, you're just too attached to things. I said goodbye to the Sven I knew on the 12th of August, the day he shaved his head. By that day, he was already thin, far too thin to be healthy. Sometimes I brought him home. Sometimes I brought him food. No, he would say, I'm not hungry. He was never hungry. You could see it. When he was sitting sideways in his wardrobe, and the only thing that gave a shape to his body were his ribs and bones that nearly seemed to penetrate the skin. But he always smiled. You really need help, I said. And he smiled with teeth which the gums were slowly retreating. Don't worry about me. I'm much better this way. Much better than I ever before. Dude, this is not healthy. Much healthier than you live, he said. You really should join me in here. There's space for two. There's no space, I said. I really shouldn't have said that. Sven installed a board in the wardrobe, right above his head. You can have the top bunk, he said. Thought it was a joke. Every day, the top bunk seemed to grow, and his space seemed to shrink. But he fit. He always sat there, quietly, sometimes with a book borrowed from me, or at other times just with his mind. It was September then. Really, he said, you can have the top bunk. You will definitely fit. I'm not so sure about that. Oh, he said, we'll make a bit more space. Tomorrow, you'll definitely fit. But the next day, as a joke, I sat on the top bunk. He closed the door. There was just my heartbeat and his breath. Isn't it serene? Sven asked. It's a bit too tight for me, I said. And something smells. Back then I would have said it smells like nails. That will go, he said. But by the next day the top bunk was even bigger. His space was by then just a thin shelf. Maybe as high as 5 or 6 books stacked on top of each other. The smell got worse. Rot. Don't worry, he said. It will get better. Sven, I said. I think you're dying. And he laughed. You cling too much to your body, he said. No, I said. Really, you need to get to a hospital. I'm not crazy, Sven said. Don't start that debate again. Give me your parents' number. No, he said. For the first time, he looked angry. Please, I just want to help. No, he said. I'm perfectly fine. I smell your body rotting. He laughed. Don't worry, it's just the healing process. Healing? The wounds, he said. What wounds? Nothing major, he said. Nothing I needed. Show me. No, show me. I grabbed his right hand. It was bony and small and cold. Stop it, he said. But I pulled. He felt lighter than my bag was on most days. His fingernails dug into my arm. Stop it, he screamed. His whole body slid out from his shelf. Just no left arm and no legs. I let go. Fuck you, he screamed. And with one push, he was back in his shelf. You're crazy, I said. No, he said. You are. You don't need all these things for happiness. I walked backwards toward the doors. What did you do with your legs? Didn't need them, he said. Cut them off 2 weeks ago. My God, I said. You will die. His eyes looked soft again, and he smiled. Simplify, Sven said. Then you stop worrying about such things. Probably I should have called the ambulance or the police. Or just somebody. Anybody. But I didn't. Because every time I try, I look at him and he smiles. He's happy. Happier than everyone I've ever seen. It's been 4 days now. Sven is still there. Happy. Sometimes I hear him hum or sing. Other times he just sits there quietly, smiling. And I should be terrified, disgusted, horrified. Instead, I just felt serene when I look at him. When I feel stressed or worried, I look at him and I feel calm from his smile. Without even thinking about it, I have begun tidying my room. Sven is right in some respects, certainly. Decluttering calms me down. The first 2 boxes were on the street today. And at night, just before I go to sleep, I wonder what it would feel like to be with him in there, in his wardrobe, bunk bed. And when I close my eyes, the darkness seems to fill with a memory, and hear nothing but my heartbeat and his breath, and all I remember is how healthy I felt in there. Alright, so that's the last one.
That was odd, for lack of a better term for it.
They usually are. Alright, so that was the last one then?
Yep, and I've been having my face owned the entire time you've been reading, so
Well
Thanks guys
then,
for watching. I'll probably start doing this on easy mode if I ever record this game again. Which I'm bound to do because it's a fun game and
hey, like these vids, upvote them. Get more of story time with Evil Doom.
it's creepy time.
It's creepy time.
Join us.
Join us. Join us for some creepy times.
Alright guys, see you next time. Bye.
Au revoir.